All right, yo. We back at it again. It's the real 100%. Me, of course, and Miss She. Just the FYI, I'm letting y'all know right now. My computer did upload. Something happened with the audio. Update, my bad. Something happened with the audio. I don't know what's going on. I've been tampering with it, trying to figure it out. If y'all hear a slight echo in there, sorry. I'm trying to fix it. I don't know shit about auto engineer, but I am going to the school right now of YouTube University, trying to figure it out, man. So, if y'all got any pointers out there, shoot them in the comments because I definitely need some help. I'm trying though. I'm figuring it out. So anyway, we got hop into this video with Anton Daniels, my man from 313 Detroit. Shout out to you, bro. And some of his other people on this pod. I think it's called Let's Rant. Let's Rant. There you go. And he talking about parenting and all that good stuff. So let's hop into this video. We're gonna give our thoughts and opinions and listen to their thoughts and opinions, and we're gonna react to it. So let's get into it.
So maybe somebody else who is in that bottom right quadrant is gonna be able to understand that man or that young woman or that young boy and really help them grow into what they need to be.
So you would advise your son to get with a woman that already have children.
If that
Children
So
is
you would be
plural.
okay with that?
Children,
Remove yourself
I
out.
don't think
Children
I don't think nobody advises those scenarios for their
But see,
children,
the
right?
problem
Yes.
is that
But sometimes it just happens because
men.
they just might be in love. You can't
No,
control
you
who
can't
loves.
because marriage is a business first. It's a business
Do
first. We
some.
know statistics of what it is when men are where children are
She
raised
said
in
to
certain
some.
type of household. We know what the statistics are,
Don't.
right?
I'm sorry,
Don't.
but I believe marriage is a business because when you look at it individually, if you're by yourself, you're your own personal individual business. You know what I'm saying? Run how you run the stuff. But once you come into a partnership and you get married, it becomes technically one company now. You know what I'm saying? So you got money that's involved. So everything is
Debt, bills.
all that is revolved around that one company now, which I have took on her debts and she has took on my debts. So it is technically a business, and it's better to have two people in a household than it is one, because now you got two incomes that'll help that business get whatever that debts or whatever it is down a lot faster because you got two incomes.
And so I'm not going to sit here and say a man isn't a man based off of some criteria that we make up, right?
Bless
Because
you.
I use
Excuse
dating.
me.
The reality is this: what we are doing is excusing bad behavior. And instead of
Facts.
us going to the mothers and say, hey, why you not accountable for who it is that you decided to open up your legs to?
Bullshit.
Facts.
Because we ain't having that conversation. The only thing we saying is, oh, that's a bitch ass nigga. But you opened up your legs to him. He wasn't a bitch ass nigga when you had sex
He
with
might
him.
have been.
When you know. But my point is
Sorry. Even like her comments,
I think she's just trying to be funny.
but that could be true. But even if she's saying that he might have been a bitch ass nigga, even though he might have been, you still, even though you knew this or had an assumption of this, you still laid down and had a baby or a child or had sex with him. So what does that make you? You know what I'm saying? If he's a bitch ass nigga and you recognize it, you're still laying down having sex with him or creating a child. What does that say about you as the woman that laid down with that bitch ass?
It's saying that your needs that's gonna be met for that 5-10 minutes is more important than the longevity of your relationship together.
And the longevity of what can happen in this 5 to 10 minutes, especially if you don't have a condom.
Which is weird because she agreed to him when he said that women need to be held accountable for having all these babies by these means. And she was like, facts. And then after that, it was like, well, maybe he wasn't shit. Like, so it's like,
Making no sense.
I mean, if we're
when we continue to do this, we validate bad behavior.
What is the bad behavior?
Because you're saying that you
He
can
just told
recover
you.
from this. When in
then
reality,
she
we know
just said fact.
statistically that child has a much greater chance of going to jail, a much greater chance of needing therapy, a much greater chance of joining a gang. He has a much greater chance of being less successful. And instead of us saying, hey, hold that accountable so that this don't happen to the next generation.
I think I'm missing context.
No.
If what?
My
He has a
point
much greater
is
chance of doing all that. If what?
To say it's a guy's responsibility to raise this child based off of a village concept or a community concept, or because he's a real man, removes the accountability from the woman of actually making sure that she picked the right guy and to marry before she carry in the first place.
So what happened? I married before I carried, and then I got a divorce.
But that's not the
Can I
norm,
speak
because
on
what
that?
I see on Instagram
Because I
and
have a
social media,
stepfather.
That's
I'm
not
trying to
the
figure
norm.
out what we talking about.
what I see
It's
on
a lot.
Instagram
I'm-
and social
I'm
media is
lost
when
a
a
little
woman get pregnant, regardless of whether she married, it's congratulations, sis.
Okay.
That's what I see.
I
Okay.
agree. Listen,
Should we
we're
throw
not
stones
disag-
at her?
I don't-
Absolutely.
Antoine,
Pause
shut
one
up.
more
You do not make
And I get what he's saying, like, marriage before carrying. So you should be married before you carry, right? And she said she was married before she carried, but that's not the norm of what happens regularly. Most people are carrying before they get married.
Mhm.
And he just said a few minutes ago that most women that's not married, they get pregnant, they're congratulated on being pregnant. That's just like, this probably may have happened a long time ago where you had the TV shows 16 and pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
No one was saying they was being rewarded for being 16 and pregnant.
They was making money off of that.
They was being rewarded with TV shows with being 16 and pregnant. It's like we validated and made it like it was okay to be 15, or because evidently you was having sex before you were 16. So you was having sex at 14, 15, or whatever the case may be. You was having sex and now you have a child at 16. And maybe somebody a little bit earlier than that. So that's almost like we was glorifying these kids having sex at 15, 16 years old and getting pregnant and giving them, rewarding them with TV shows.
Now,
That's crazy.
I don't think that when he said that when some women get pregnant and we congratulate her, like they shouldn't do that. I don't think so. Like, of course, a kid, absolutely not. But I think it's a blessing to be able to conceive, and most women can't do that. So, regardless of the situation, like, congratulations, you were able to do something not a lot of people can do. I would take that part out. Like, I don't agree with that part, but everything else is pretty factual to me.
You mean like but that would be kind of congratulating, even though like we said, like he said before, it should be married before carry.
Yeah.
So if people are just laying around having babies and just not marrying before carrying, we're messing it up for the next generation.
And I get that, but I'm saying, like, I'm not going to congratulate a 15 or 16-year-old, but if it's a woman of age, and not even if they're married before carry, which you should marry before you carry, that's still a celebration because not everybody can carry a child.
I mean, that is true, but I get exactly
I'm
what
kind
you're
of
saying.
50-50. I'm 50-50 with it.
I get what you're saying, but with that, still would be setting it up for the next generation to kind of, how we always say we don't want to repeat the cycle.
Yeah.
So that would be repeating the cycle that maybe if your son or daughter, well, I don't know if they would know, but that would be setting them up for that.
And it depends on the situation too. So, like, if most of the time people have children before they get married, so I guess the goal is to have marriage in there, but it's also the goal to do that first. So it kind of just depends on the situation. I wouldn't exclude everybody and say, like, because you got pregnant, I'm gonna hold you accountable and not tell you congratulations. Now, if you're young, definitely not. I'm gonna ask you what the hell and why. So there's like different things for that one.
So you said that
100%.
congratulating a woman, but if you want to throw accountability to anybody, throw it at the man that left
It's
the
a
family
small
unit,
minority.
right?
It's a small percentage of men that's having the majority of the children. It's most black men are not having children out of wedlock. That is a falsehood. And so when we sit here, when we want to solve for a problem, we solve for the majority, not the minority. And when you look at the statistics, most black men are not having children out of wedlock. It's a small minority of men that's having the majority of the children with a whole lot of women. That's
And
the
is
reality.
that you got that from a .org or a dot?
How do a woman have a child without a wedlock without the man too?
What I'm saying is, if we got 99% of the men, and we said we're gonna hold all of them accountable.
No, I'm saying, like, if the
I'm
woman
explaining
had
it
the
to
child at wedlock, she ain't have it by herself.
I'm explaining
So
to
did
you.
he.
If we got 99%
Facts.
of men to do the right thing, it takes 1% of men to populate the majority of the women.
True indeed.
So even if you hold all men accountable, it doesn't solve for the problem.
No, it's not about all men. It's about holding everybody accountable.
We do, but men by default are automatically held accountable.
Let me go back to this stepdad situation real fast, because I have a stepfather, right? But he didn't raise me. My grandfather raised me, right? So I didn't personalize my stepfather because that's who my mom is married to.
Yeah, that's who your mom chose.
That's her relationship. I have examples. I have examples around me that I don't have to look towards him. His only job, honestly, for me, is just to be example of a good person, a human being, period. I don't need him to be my father. I don't need him for none of that shit, right? It's just simply just be a good dude, treat my mom good. And I mean, honestly, I don't care what y'all going through. Y'all not being physical, that's fine.
How old were you when he came into your life?
I was in middle school, so that's what, like,
You was
12.
already big.
Well, I was big because I was probably, I'm 6'5", bro. I've been big.
No, I'm saying you were older as a kid. You had already
middle
had
schooler
whatever was in you.
No, what I'm saying is...
Now, wait, now, I know, listen.
You took that too literally.
Okay,
Well, I mean,
so...
he's 11 years old. He's
All
middle
right,
school.
cool. All right, let's reset. All right. So one of
So
the
he
factors
wasn't,
you
pretty much, he
gave
wasn't a
in
child.
regards to
He was old enough
children
to
No
that,
better.
you know,
Yeah, what's
statistically
going on?
messing up more so, that usually comes from a single mother household, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So if we take the conversation to it being a two-parent...
single mother household. So when I say two-parent household, I'm saying married, having children, raising those children.
Cool. So let's take it to a two-parent household where one parent is a step-parent. That's still a two-parent household, right?
Yeah, but it's not the same.
You don't think so?
And I personally, again, I would never advise a guy, if this guy is single, he's taking care of business, he don't have no children and nothing like that, I'm not gonna sit here in good conscience and tell this man that he's supposed to get with a single mother. Absolutely not.
And that's
100%.
Cool. But there's so many single fathers that get with single mothers. So many single fathers.
So we just
I think
speaking
y'all should have
about
preferences.
are we just speaking about the men who don't have children? Is that the reference? Or are you saying just all men,
Because I
even if they
understand the
come
men
in
that
with
doesn't
children?
have children, but there's so many single fathers that look towards.
I mean,
Like I
yeah,
said, the majority
we
of
also
men
have to be
don't have
realistic
children
here.
out of wedlock.
Okay, where are you living, right? We're living in America, and 1 out of every 4 kids are born with a single parent.
Yeah.
Or raised with a single parent, right? And the rest of the world, it's at an 8%. So we're about 3 to 4 times more likely to have a child be raised out of wedlock or with only one parent, right? So when you look at the numerics, you're more likely than not to run, if you're a guy who doesn't have any kids, you're more likely than not, depending on your age, to run into a woman that has a kid, right? So I don't think we're advising anybody, hey, I advise you to go find a woman that has a kid with another man.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is that the offer's not on the table depending on her behavior. Now, if she has 3, 4, 5 baby fathers, I would never advise that, right? Sorry to those women. But if you have one man and, I mean, you had one man and now you have one child with that man, or maybe even 2, and that's something that you want to tie up your boots and walk in the path you want to walk down,
crazy.
I would say
Yeah, I
go
think that
ahead.
is
But
crazy.
that's why I brought up single fathers,
That's
because when you see a
crazy.
woman that is a single mother,
Yeah.
that child has a father,
Yeah.
right? Who's a single father?
That's insane.
Like, are we not putting those two together?
So I get what she's saying, but the single father doesn't have the child. So he is a single father technically, but he doesn't have the
They're
child
like
with him.
sharing custody.
Yeah, so in majority of the time, the child is going to be with the mother.
Yeah, unless she ain't shit, because you do have the single fathers that the mother don't be with them, and they get more praise because they stepped up versus.
But that rarely happens. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you we know a few, but yeah, you have more of single fathers that step up, and you're looked upon differently because you stood up and did what you needed to do versus a woman. If she's a single parent, just like you pick the bad nigga, because when you have a baby, the baby 90% of the time is gonna go to the woman, regardless of the situation. Even when y'all married and y'all separated, unless the mother is just horrific,
She's gonna still be
the
with
kid
the mother.
is gonna be with the mother if you don't have that great co-parenting. So I think that, and what my man was talking about, like how America have the highest single parent percentage. I can believe that, because America is not traditional like other countries. They don't casually date. They become of age. When they become of age, they started to be more modest, or dress appropriate than our American girls, and then they meet their match and they roll with it. Where America, we casually date, have fun, live our life, and be with all these different people. And then you might slip up and be pregnant. And it's like a 50% chance that that man ain't gonna be shit. And I feel like when you're married, there's more of a fight to keep the relationship than when you just casually dating and having sex.
Okay, that's technically what they're doing, just having a lot of sex right now. Whole bunch of it.
Right.
I got a question for you. So say you got your son, right?
Mhm.
You going by your principles. You don't want him to date a young lady that has a child,
Oh,
whatever,
she
right?
crazy.
Mhm.
So what if he do anyway?
What do you mean, what if he do?
Okay, so this actually is a perfect example. My dad feels like you. My dad, he used to always tell my brother, you are a first round draft pick. You don't have no kids. I bought you a brand new car. You just moved to a new city. I put you some money in the account. Like, you a first round draft pick. You pick you somebody that da-da-da. When I was younger, I used to be like, Dad, that's such a fucked up way to say things. And I don't necessarily align with the way that you're delivering it, but I can see as someone
It's
that
not
is
what you say, it's how you say
active
it.
in step parenting
It's not what you say, it's how you
and
say it.
understand the difficulties of it. I can understand the foundation of the message. I do think that people can find love in multiple places, but I do think that when you have a prepackaged family, it can be a little bit rougher at times to, figure out getting through situations or even
It's hard to figure out situations when you're with your husband.
honestly.
When you have kids with your husband.
Honestly.
It's hard to figure out
That's a different
situations
situation
then
to
too.
figure
When
out.
you have
She's moving the goalpost. That's all she's doing.
Yeah, she talking about like mother and parent disagreement versus mother and bonus parent. Like you can't really have power over that child because it's not your child. Like that's your bonus child, but at the end of the day, the final decision should be the biological mother and the biological father.
Yeah, so she's moving the goalpost right now. Opposite.
She's getting them confused. Like they're two different things. It's like apples and oranges. Like I get what she's trying to like make them seem like they're the same, but to me, it's not the same. It's different.
family members coming from both sides and then putting this and that, that's a difficult situation. They're all difficult situations.
For me, I think the difficulty sometimes that I might have, and this is honestly just me being vulnerable.
Yeah.
The difficulties that I see sometimes in being a bonus parent is no matter what you do, no matter what you say, you're not going to ever be their parent.
Right.
So sometimes it's like, okay, like for example, the baby is homeschooled.
Mhm.
I want all three of the kids to be homeschooled because I feel like that would be best. That's not my call.
Right.
As difficult as that is sometimes for me just to swallow, sometimes I really want to just have the conversation of, yo, we should just make this shift, But that's not my call because I'm just the bonus mom.
Right.
I can understand the wanting to protect, your child from,
I'm sorry, but with that same example, say you had all three with your husband and your husband is firmly against homeschooling and you're not, wouldn't you
that would be
run into that same situation?
Yeah, but fortunately, before me and him had Chan, that's stuff that we talked about.
Right.
And we discussed that. So, but that definitely would be a hard thing if we weren't aligned in that space. Absolutely.
And we got to also stop thinking that you could be a great parent and your child is not receptive to your parenting.
Period.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes we try to,
That was fire.
you feel me? Oftentimes we try to sit here and be like, oh, it's my fault because such and such and such, this child has grown up to do whatever, become whatever. That's completely outside of how you raised them. There's kids or adults now that were kids and really had two great parents, but yet they wanted to do all the other things that was going to make them a bad person.
For no reason.
I think
I don't know why
that's
I
a
did
lot of-
that.
And it's not
but
their,
it's so true.
it's
a
not
lot.
their parents' fault, you know what I'm
It's
saying?
not.
It absolutely
I
is.
think that what
It
happens
isn't.
is
Yeah, we
what
had this
happens is,
discussion before,
at
too.
some point in
seriously.
time
It isn't.
when kids become adults,
She like, get me
we
out
don't
of
sit
here.
here and we actually reflect on the sacrifices that were being made with appreciation. We actually do it in the sense of, I wish I had this, this, and this. And in America, personally, we already exist in a world where we have a disease of more. We always want more. We always want something that should have been over here or something that was over
It's
there.
so true. That's
but
just
it's
with
never
human
a
beings,
grateful.
too.
There's never no gratefulness to anything. You feel what I'm saying? Like my mom, she worked 3-4 jobs, right? My sister felt like my mother wasn't there a lot.
Yeah.
So my sister started acting out. Me, right? We're only about 1.5 years, 2 years apart. Me, I looked at it as, wow, my mother is sacrificing a lot. Okay, I am appreciative, but my sister was resentful. It's the same
but
parent
that was
doing
like-
the same exact
That's a
job to
one-parent
both
household
kids, but
he's
one
talking
kid is
about.
going to
One saw
learn
it
to be
differently.
grateful, and one is
Yeah.
going to learn to
It's
to have a
so
problem
It's a
with it.
cycle,
You need
though.
two
It's not-
parents
See,
inside of the
exactly.
household.
It's not
Yep.
It's a blueprint for what success looks
It
like when it
isn't.
comes to
Yes, it is.
It
Listen,
isn't.
I got 3 brothers. All
Okay.
of us is married. None of us ever been divorced. 9 uncles on my mother's side. None of them ever been divorced.
Good.
No children ever been raised out of wedlock. There is a blueprint to
For
what's-
your family,
that's
that
a-
worked very well.
That's called a blessing.
There is a no, it's not. It's called being intentional.
Facts.
It's called, and let me tell you something.
Being
Even
intentional.
scripturally, and we raise our kids based off of the scriptures. When you put it in them young, it never departs from them. Even if you allow for them to fail in controlled environments, they never depart from it. They always come back to the thing that you put into
I
them
agree with that.
when they're young.
I
And
agree
so
with
for
that.
us to sit here and have this conversation, would basically tell me that y'all just believe differently than me.
Absolutely.
Because what
We're
we
different
do,
people.
and that's fair.
No, everybody
but
believes
what I'm
differently.
saying is, but what I'm saying is, everything that I hear communicated right now is a remix.
Mhm.
America is this. No, there is a fundamental way, and other cultures even understand it. That's not even having as many options as us. There's a fundamental way that you go about being successfully married, being successfully able to raise your children, so on and so forth. And we've departed from that, and we keep remixing it and saying, well, it's okay for you to go out there, fail, create a whole nother family, come back, and then you able to redeem yourself. That's not the conversation that
not
we
a
should be
failure.
having. Instead, we should be having a conversation based off of proactively preventing ourselves from even getting in this situation in the first place. But instead, we keep remixing and expecting our children to not pay for the sins of their fathers and their mothers. Our children are nothing more than a reflection of the failures of the people that came before them. That's it.
Yikes.
I
I
thought-
disagree.
So when
I think that's on point. Which I somewhat kind of believe that, because I always say I didn't want to repeat what happened with me.
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, I always said this, and so I feel like I would be that failure for my kids. You know what I'm saying? So when he's saying it's a remake, it's a remake, it's a remake. Just like my man over here on the corner was saying, he was raised by a single mother.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it was just remixed again.
Mm-hmm.
So you could still have you may end up doing that exact same thing to your son or daughter,
Mm-hmm.
to where now you're not married, but I'm pretty sure you got a child though. And it's not a 2-parent household.
Yeah, like
Him
he
on
said, his granddad raised him.
No, that was the dude in the middle.
Oh,
The dude in the middle said,
longer, okay.
the one in the middle said his granddad raised him.
Okay. Oh, the Milli Vanilli. Yeah, he said
but
he was single.
he was raised by his granddad, but he had a stepfather though. You know what I'm saying? And my man, he's the only one where his whole family was being not productive. What's what I'm looking for? They was being intentional on what they were doing, so we can have each child set up to keep doing
The longevity.
There you go. These people, on the other hand, they would be the remix of me and you, or the norm that go on in the world where everybody got single mother, single father, being raised by their mama, no other male figure around, this, and then third. So they would be the product of what he's talking about, because our parents wasn't being intentional with making sure they had a 2-parent household. But on top of that, because our parents was probably going off of what their parents did and not being in a 2-parent household and just being raised by their mom or whatever the case may be. So it's a reflection of the past. Now it's our future. You get what I get?
I get the blueprint because like my parents were married forever until they passed. So things might have been a little different from her. So it's like you had the blueprint. Most families do, but you don't
Especially
stick to it. Yeah, like you know what I'm saying. Like they were married forever until she died. So,
But I get what he's saying though.
Yeah.
About the blueprint.
When I said earlier, when I said in the
And we would be like we would have the sins of our fathers and mothers though. And I think it do say that in the Bible too.
different show, that I'm the man that I would want my daughter to marry, it's a reason for that. I don't make sacrifices, or I don't come into this whole situation looking to apologize. I'm looking to validate. I'm looking to remove every excuse that you have from being able to not make the right decision. And you often at times make the right decision every time, because you are going to be a reflection of what me and your mother put into you. That's it.
I
no other way to go around it.
I love the thought of that
It sounds
mindset.
poetic.
No, it's exactly
it
the way
sounds
it
like
goes.
a really
Okay,
good
question.
thing.
So
In
you
theory,
said
that's
you said
beautiful.
preventative. If the conversation needs to be about preventative actions to not make families that could be potentially broken and things like that. What are the preventative actions that we need to discuss?
Oh, it's very simple. It goes back to the original marry before you carry. We need to stop dating, stop experiencing a bunch of people, stop having a bunch of sex, stop putting yourself in a position to have to sacrifice.
So if we stop dating, how do we get to marriage?
You shouldn't even be, and I talked about it.
Yeah, I asked him that.
You shouldn't be dating. You shouldn't even be opening up yourself up to all of these spirits from different men in the first place.
How do you meet your husband if you don't date?
You already probably met him. He's the person that has your best interests at heart. He's the person that already was your best friend. He's the person that had your best interest. Most women skip over the man that they were supposed to marry already. That's the key. And then y'all pick the guy that y'all want. He ruins you, and then you expect for another guy to come back and pick up the pieces for you. That's not the way to do it. We remixing what relationships are supposed to be. You ain't even supposed to be dating until you get married.
So you met him at a quick trip, but you never dated him, but you were supposed to marry him.
No, you was raised with him. You were around him. You went to school with him. Most people.
That's not true.
Because I'm so looking at my memory book like.
I really do like your train of thought.
I just looked over him though.
I got a couple questions. First and foremost is how old are you?
So most times, what he's saying is that when you was raised with him, you went to school with them, they stayed down the block type thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they was always in your vicinity. But what seems to happen with either, I guess, men and women, we tend to look over them because maybe Donovan that stayed on the east side
more popping
was more popping over there, but you know Johnny that stayed down the street from him, he was that nerd to you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, or he was the geek or just a friend, but he was the one that was really had your best interest. He might have been the one telling you like you shouldn't be fucking with my man. You know what I'm saying? He bad news type shit. And same thing with the girl. It might be the girl that's telling him like, yo, you shouldn't be fucking her. She a hoe. You know what I'm saying? But she got a bad body though.
And that's the flesh is weak, and that makes you want to get with East Side and baby girl because you already know what you can expect out of that.
So you're bypassing the ones that's right in front of you that was all along the one you should have been with, but you know what I'm saying? Life be life and type shit. So we tend to bypass that.
41.
Okay. Strike one. Second question, where are you from?
How's that a strike?
Born and raised. Strike two. When you understand the world is different in every area.
I didn't travel the world.
Yeah, but at what age?
And then like he make it seem like it seem like he's been all over the world before him, and I'm pretty sure he's older than him.
Like he trying to discredit him. How's his age a strike when he's already married and been married? How's where he from a strike? Like,
and if you ain't traveled, how's that a strike?
What is that like?
Because he just told you a few minutes ago, the one you're supposed to marry was right behind the street.
Yeah,
you went to school with him, so like you know.
If I'm traveling the world, how am I? Yes, oh my God.
Whole life.
What age?
My whole life.
Give me your first age where you
13.
You was 13. No. Give me your first age where you experienced life as a man in a different state. Outside
13.
of the Midwest area.
As a man? 18.
18. Where'd you go?
Ohio.
Outside the Midwest.
Outside the Florida. Okay. 19.
19. Who were you with?
My father.
As a man, by yourself. I have to do this over with you because we could go back and forth.
What do you mean as a man by myself?
As a man, as an adult. I'm not talking about with your dad.
And it's another thing. So like he said, everything that his people did or he does is pretty much intentional.
It's the blueprint.
Yeah. So if I'm out with my father
in Florida, my father is working on the blueprint.
He's teaching me something or something that's being intentional for the most part. So with a guy that grew up with just a single mother, like, what do you mean when I drop my nut? Like,
I can ask you the same question.
My father was the one that helped me get to where I'm at right now.
Yeah,
I could be like, where was your father? But you told me you already let me know your father was a bitch ass nigga. Like, so you didn't have that. I had that. So it's two different things. My family is the blueprint. Yours is not. So it's like we like you said, we talking apples and oranges here. You know what I mean? So it's like, yo, I'm going off the blueprint that my father passed down to me. You're going off of what your single mother passed down to you, and maybe whatever other male figures you had around besides your father.
You know your wife. You're losing me.
Daddy on your side. I'm not talking about with your mother on your side. I ain't talking about your uncle, your cousin.
Your daddy supposed to be on your side.
and run around by yourself as a man with a friend in
So
a
why
different
would I
place.
be doing that?
At what
I don't
age?
know
What
if
a
he
friend?
did that because he got
I got married
young.
at 22 years
But
old.
this
big
is
dog.
this is what I'm
I
trying
got
to.
married at 22. I was
Exactly.
intentional.
So
I told my
Intentional.
wife when I met her in high school.
Hold on, listen. All I'm doing is asking you questions.
I know,
He
but I'm
just
telling you
told you
that
that.
I don't put
So
myself in a
much.
position
But
to make
what I'm
mistakes.
trying to
It's a
tell you,
difference.
but no. The difference is this. You got married at 22 years
That's
old,
right.
20 fucking years ago, bro.
Correct.
You understand the world's not the same then?
Let me tell you something.
No,
The
no,
word-
no, 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 wait.
The word don't change ever.
The
It's
word
the
don't-
same way it was yesterday as it is today.
Not
the method
Facts.
by which you go about being successful is the same.
So we're
You can
still slaves.
Listen,
I get what you're saying.
I tell you what.
So she
This
being
way
stickler.
is how-
You telling me
Yeah, she
that
being
it don't
stickler
work,
now.
right?
No, I'm not. You're not letting me
telling me
tell.
that-
You're not
okay,
letting
go
me
ahead.
tell
I'm
you.
sorry.
Okay, wait.
You
I
just
want to
moved
get
it.
back. Let me take the conversation back to this because I had some questions. I had some stuff on my card that I want to talk about and talk about it. Okay. Now, what kind of parents are y'all? More traditional or gentle parents? Shit.
Well, I'm intentional about being gentle. So he's never gonna fail. He's gonna do everything
I
right.
don't fail.
See, and this is another thing I don't like. Like she's trying to be what's the word I'm looking for?
Funny.
Funny, but not like, taking shots type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because he told y'all I am trying to be intentional for my kids won't fail. And it seems like that's what other people should be trying to do, is be intentional to make sure that your kids don't fail. Like what his family did. You know what I'm saying? Like in the moves that we make as adults, we should be more intentional to where our children don't fail. They always can succeed in life by following our blueprint that we put into our children.
Mm-hmm.
What is a gentle?
And I think they're trying to be make a mockery out of what he was saying. That's what I'm saying.
That
That's
sounds stupid.
And then she's gonna say, "Well, so we wasn't slave? Like you being dumb now."
Parent. I still don't understand the
Okay,
concept.
so
My life is a reflection of what I advocate for.
And I hope your
Do I
and I hope
think-
your
Okay, hold
kids
on, no,
never
listen,
disappoint you in the way that you think that they
I
will.
want to talk
They
about
won't.
gentle parenting
Okay.
within the Black community because I think a lot of us have this idea that gentle parenting is just
Passive
stop.
parenting, and it's
Oh,
not.
stop! Don't do that.
We're just gonna wrap it up right there.
Okay.
So, I mean, that was a real dope, in-depth conversation.
Yeah. It could have been if everybody else kind of opened their ears to really listen.
Mhm.
I think we get so much of this new world order, if that's the right word, of it's okay to be single parents or it's okay to be hot boxing and non-traditional, that when somebody say traditional and blueprint that you get offended and say like that's not an option. That's not realistic.
And I think we should start trying to be more intentional with our children and what we put into them, and so they can make better decisions. You know what I'm saying? Because our children are
A representation of us.
Facts. You know what I'm saying? So they only gonna do and say and mimic what we do and say. You know what I'm saying? So if we're not setting up that blueprint to let them see a 2-parent household, or let them see the morals and values that they should be having and carrying themselves with, they're going to go off what they probably see on TV.
They're going to go astray.
They're going to go off what they see on tablets. They're going to go off what they might hear in music and see in what other kids and what they're doing, how their family is. Because majority of the time, most families are not that traditional value and are not a 2-parent household. So majority of households are raised by single mothers for the most part. So, they're going to go off of that.
Or they in the house and they ain't happy,
that
but
too.
they just fighting it out.
So,
or trying to stick it out, I should say.
yeah, but we gotta do better. But Anton Daniels.
Yes, and then what's the chocolate bunny
Salute to you,
name?
bro.
I don't know her name. I dig the host and the 3 that was on
To the right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were like, they were listening.
They was being more open-minded
to the discussion.
Yeah. The other 2, they was kind of set. Other 3 was kind of set on that single motherhood or single lifestyle.
My man next to the host was kind of lost.
Yeah,
he ain't even know what we was talking about half the time.
So, yeah. And then the light skinned dude, I don't know, man. He kind of
Millie Vanilli. I had high hopes for him in the beginning.
But like I said, man, these are just our thoughts, our opinions. Saying other people might feel different, but I am rocking with, Anton Daniels. I thought what he was saying was spot on. And I think being intentional is what we probably should be trying to do.
Yeah.
Or been doing. It may be too late for that, but, it's never too late to start something. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
But, y'all let us know what y'all think down in the comments, how y'all feel about it. Was he right? Was he wrong? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? And if so, who gives a fuck? And as always, we say over here on this side of the internet,
Be safe, be honest, be real.
be intentional.
Blueprint.
100. Peace.